Okay, so now keep the heading as JavaScript and write it down. JavaScript is a JavaScript is a scripting or programming language scripting or programming language scripting or programming language that that allows you to implement that allows you to implement that allows you to implement complex features on web pages, complex features on web pages, or sorry, full stop, web pages, full stop. JavaScript is OOP, OOP, object-oriented programming, while which means OOP, which means that you can build smaller objects, that you can build smaller objects. Full stop. I'll repeat again. JavaScript is a scripting or programming language that allows you to implement complex features on web pages. Full stop. JavaScript is OOP, which means that you can build smaller objects. Okay, next keep the heading as subheading types of scripts. Types of scripts. So I'm giving the content which related to like in ServiceNow scripting only, even in JavaScript too. Write it down. You have a client side, server side, and core. Client side, client-side scripting, server-side scripting, and code. And code. Okay, so let us explain this thing. So we know about like in JavaScript, right? So this is a kind of like in scripting or programming language which we are going to work with like in complex features on like in web pages, how the front end thing will work on. So everything whenever we are going to work with like in different tools, we'll work with JavaScript, right? So here we do have like in three types: client side scripting, server side scripting, and core side. So let me tell you what is client side, what is server side, and what is core. Okay, so client side. So client side is something which we are going to enable enhancements and manipulations or something else. Let's say I just need to work with like an UI, user interface. Okay, or else I can go with like a web browser. So if my work is just like in the user interface and the web browser, let's say if I open any record, okay, so let's say example the user interface, whatever the things which we can see right now. Okay, so or else this or this, or else the web browser, whatever which is there, only with this specific one. Okay, so which we are going to make any enhancements or any modifications. Okay, so if we want to do something else, then I'll go with the client side scripting, which is nothing but user interface. If there is any configurations or customizations which is there with this client side, which is nothing but the data which we can display, okay, then we'll go with the client side. Okay, so what is server side? Server side is something, it enables like in backend access to tables, database files and servers. If I want to work with like an, okay, or else let's say I just need to read the data from a database, or else from a servers, or else access to like in backend tables and everything, then I will go with the server side scripting. Okay, so this is something database, and I'm going to go with like in servers or tables as well, as ServiceNow tables. Okay, so if I want to get a details or information from these sources, then I'm going to write a server side scripts. So client side script example in ServiceNow, I can give like in client scripts we have. Okay, and we have like an UI policy scripts also we have over there, and catalog client scripts we have, UI pages, UI actions, all this comes under client side. Okay, we will discuss these as well later. And the server side. So server side we have like in business rules we have, and then script includes we have, and email scripts we have, okay, and background scripts we have. So these things which comes under server side scripting. Okay, so whenever I'm going to work with like an working in web browser or UI, then I'll go with the client side. And if it is like in getting the backend values of a tables, or else backend values is not a uh, the values which is available over here. It's just with all the data over there. Okay, so just need to get a database, data from a database or from a service or something. Then I will use server side scripting. Now, what is core? Core is something both the combination of server and client. So simply server plus client. Client side and server side, if we combine these together, then we call it as core. Okay, so that's how which we are going to work with, like in sometimes the core as well. So in UI actions, we can write a server side script to and client side scripts in the same way by adding like in GS submit method. GSFT submit method. Okay, so in that way, which we are going to work with, like, and depending on our requirement, which we work with client side, server side, and the core too. Okay, so now let me give you how just few syntaxes which while writing a script or else while working with like a scripting, we just need to keep these points in mind. Okay, so JavaScript is a case sensitive. So here, capital A and small a both are different. Okay, so this is a case sensitive. And whereas the string values, whatever which we give, that's not a case sensitive, but whereas the methods or else the glide records or anything, glide APIs, whatever which we use, or else variables or objects, whatever which we use is a case sensitive. Okay, and the next thing, the best practices which we need to follow while scripting, I'm just discussing actually. So here, try not to use extra spaces. Let's say there is 100 lines of script is there, and I wrote 10 lines here, and then I have given a lot of space like that, and then I have wrote another 10 lines over there, and then I am giving a lot of space. So giving an extra space like this is not a good practice. Just go with like a line by line. You can give like an only one line of space for like a better understanding, sometimes 1 or 2 lines, but giving more than 10 to 15 lines of script also, it's not a good practice. Okay, so that we just need to avoid the extra spaces. Okay, and the next one, let me put it over here. Yeah. So the next one, which I can say, we just need to use a semicolon when we are going to end the statement. Let's say I have created one object. Okay, so I have created one object and there I have created a variables and then I was just printing that as well. So for each and every statement, there should be a semicolon, except that is a loops concept. Whenever you are writing for loop or while loop or all this, if conditions and all this, other than these things, we just need to use a semicolon for each and every statement. Okay, and there is a strings will be there, right? The next one, we do have a strings. So string is nothing but combination of characters or collection of characters. Let's say any name, John is a string. So whenever I add string while scripting, the string should be mentioned as like in single or double quotes. It should be in a single or double quotes. Either any of the thing which you can use, utilize it. So you can use any of the one, single quote or double quote. So whenever we mentioned it in this, inside the quotes, then that will be considered as a string. Okay, so string is something which we know, collection of characters. Okay, and whenever we are using like in conditions or functions. Okay, so we just need to use the braces as well, open braces. Parentheses also, which we will say. Let's say example, if I'm just using like an if condition, if a is equal to 1. Okay, it should be enclosed with the parentheses. We know all this actually. Okay, but anyhow, I'm just recalling and brushing up those stuff. That's it. Okay, so I hope you everyone know about this one for sure because it will be there in our graduation as well. Okay, and the next thing, it's better to have a comments. Comments should be we will use while whenever we are using scripting. Let's say example, there is a 1,000 lines of script and each thousand in a if this among this 1,000 lines of script, so 100 lines is regarding creating a record. Let's say example. And the next 100 lines is for like in updating a record. So while going with that, so creating a record, you can mention a comments. So to mention a comments, we do have like in double forward slash and then mention that create, or else we do have like in one more. If it is like in multiple lines, you need to add on. Just give a star with a forward forward slash and then give your comment over here and then again forward slash with a star. So this will work on. Okay, so there are two ways to make the line as a comment. If sometimes if there is like an any script which is there 2 to 3 lines and that you should not, you cannot, you feel like a need not to delete it. Okay, and that should not execute. So in that time also you can make it as a comment. So if the comment thing will not execute, commented lines is something just to understand to us only. Okay, so let's say in 1,000 lines of script, so 100 is for creating, 100 is for like in checking the condition, 100 lines is for like in updating a thing. So if we divide it and if we add it as like in the comments, so it will be easy to understand whenever we open the script. Right, if there is like 1,000 lines to understand why they have written this script, okay, so it will take a lot of time to check it up. Right, if I add a comment over there, so this is the purpose, creating a task-based record, or else creating a something, any kind of like an, depending on requirement, creating specific record over there. So if I mention the comment, it will be easy to understand. We can get it very easily. What's the purpose of writing this script? Okay, and we do have like an escape characters as well to enable. We will use a escape characters. So escape characters is something. Let's say example, for string, we are going to mention that in a single or double quotes, right? So in output, I just need to get, there is a line called, this is service now training. So as an output, I need to get like this with the quotes. Okay, so whole sentence is should we are going to mention in a quotes only, and this should be come in a quotes as it is a important one. We will use like in for important stuff as like in quotes, right? Maybe like in any nouns we will use for like a names or places or something else very frequently which we use. So if I add this as like a whole string, and this should be like an printed as same as like this. Okay, so the compiler will confuse that, will get an error, so whether to take it as like in this is one string and then the snow is another string and the training is another string, so this will be an error for us. Exception will come up, so to avoid this one, so we can use the escape characters. Okay, so escape characters which we will use a back and slash over here. Okay, if I use this one, then it will take it as like an as it is, whatever the snow with the double quotes will come up, and this will be the output actually whenever I use the thing. So this will not be there. And this will be the output actually if I use the escape characters. Okay, and let's know about like in reserve words as well. So reserve words is something we do have like in we cannot use this reserve words while creating a variables. So reserve words we do have like in let's say we have a break, case, catch, continue, default we have, and do we have, else we have, if, switch conditions, finally. So true, catch, throw, switch, return, so all these are like in reserve words actually. So if you want to know more about like in reserve words in JavaScript, just click on this. So these are the reserve words actually. See, now I have redirected to W3 schools as I told you earlier. So this will you like in full details regarding JavaScript. So if you are good with like an all the concepts which is admin part, and if you are having a time, just go to like an W3 schools and finish from starting to ending. Finish all the things, you will understand about like in how JavaScript work and how we are going to utilize these things. So just let us go back to like in our concept. See, these are the reserve words actually: abstract, arguments, avoid, boolean, break, byte, case, everything. So whenever we are creating a variable, we should not use that variable as a reserve word. Let's say we know about creating a variable, right? Let's say example where a is equal to 10. Okay, so now a is a variable and we are storing 10 value into a variable. Let's say if I use this one, var break as a variable, now I'll get an error because this break is a reserve word. So instead of like in break exactly, if I use BRE, then this is not a reserve word. So you can use the variable whatever it might be, except the reserve words actually. So if you want more details, just check it out over here. Okay, and then to know more about like in JavaScript, if you want to learn it, okay, so just follow this one. This will be very understandable for you as well. I'm giving a link in the chat box as well. Again, just check it up and try to learn from your end too. Okay, so reserve words is something which we just need not to use as a variable while creating a variable. Okay, and let's get into like in data types. We do have like in data types as well. So data types is something we have a string, and we have a integer, boolean, and we do have like an array, object, etc. So these things which we can say data type. So string is something we know about it already. So here see the combination of characters, the John is string. Let's say example, you can add on like an anything. Let's say example test, this is also one string. Okay, so and integers we know about it. This is what something which numbers will come up, 1 2, that way. Okay, and then boolean is nothing but we are going to utilize this as like in true or false. 0 or 1. As a compiler it will be. And if it is like an array is something homogeneous set of data which is nothing but array. So here we are going to hold different values over here. Let's say var a is equal to 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4, and this is one array which we will. So in A, we are going to store all this in an array format. Okay, in object. So object is something which we are going to utilize the same array but different. We are going to hold structured data with name properties as well. Let me show you that. Let's say var A is equal to ABC is equal to 1. So we are just giving a name as well. Let's say one more example. Name John. So in this way, which we can create a object. If it is like a single thing, so this is a single one, you can create like this. And in service now, we are going to use one variable which we use very frequently, where gr is equal to, we know about it, we discussed for like a schedule job, right? So here glide API will come and table name. Okay, so this is the object in real time in service now. Okay, so this is about like in data types actually. So let us go with like in the functions and conditions as well. So function is something we are going to create a JavaScript function is just like in block of code which is designed to perform a particular task, or else any kind of task that should be performed, then we are going to create a function. So function is something we are going to execute when someone calls it. So which is nothing but this is a reusable code. Let's say there is a block of code, 10 to 15 lines of script is there, and I created a function and I mentioned that function in a that code in the function. So if I call the function name, then the 10 to 15 lines of script will be executed. No need to repeat that again, the 10 to 15 lines of script. So function is something, a block or else a lines of code which is designed to perform a particular task. Whenever we call it, it will be executed. So just let me show you like in how to create a function. So just give the function over here and give the function name. Let's say my function or function name. Just give the braces over here and give the flower braces and give the lines of script here. Let's say 5 lines of script is available, and that's how. So we are going to call this as well. So the function name too. So return function name. So if you want to return something else, you can go with that as well. Okay, or else my function. So my name also, which you can directly utilize my function. So what will happen whenever I write a function over here and I'm going ahead with like in this block of script over here, okay, block of code which is designed to perform a particular task. Okay, I'm going to call the function as well. Okay, so that's how which I'm going to utilize it. And function name which we are going to add, or whatever it might be like in the task, depending on like in task we can use. And I can use this my function in even in after 15 to 20 lines as well. Maybe in end of my scripting, I just need to utilize this function, this block of script to be performed there as well. Then I will call this function simply, that will work. That's how about like in creating a functions. Okay, and the next thing which we can go with like in the conditions. Conditions we have like in switch condition, if condition. Okay, so all this we have. So condition state is nothing but these are the statements which is used to perform different actions based on different conditions actually. So here we can use like an if condition with else or else if condition and a switch condition as well. Let me go with like an if it is a if condition. So if a is equal to 100 and just give the braces over here, and you can go with like an if it is true, this line of script should work. If it is like in false, this line of script will work. Okay, so that's how which we will define. So here we'll get a function if the value whatever which I'm giving a is equal to something, and if it is true, the lines whatever which I write over here will work. That will execute simply, which I can say. Okay, if it is like in not true, in else condition, it goes to like in false, and the lines whatever which is there that will execute. That's about like an if condition. In the same way, we do have like an else if as well. So we can, if I want to utilize one more condition, I can use like an else if, and I can add, and I can go with like an other step as well. Okay, and one more thing here, you just need to remember if it is like in double equal to which I'm giving, so which is nothing but equal. So we are just comparing the values, whether the value is same as the before, which we mentioned, equal. If it is like in something which we need to come, if it is double, triple equal to, then we are just comparing with the exactly same it should be. The data type also should be same. I'll give you an example as well. 1 second. Okay, so let's say example if a is equal to 1. Okay, so it just compares, let's say I have declared a is equal to 1 variable before. Okay, now I'm just comparing in condition a is equal to 1. So it just compares with like in the value a is equal to 1 or not. Just comparing, equalizing whether it is equal or not. If it is like in, let's say a is equal to true, it will be a false. Okay, it will not satisfy. Whereas if I go with like in triple equal to like this, it will check all the data types as well. So what's the data type over here? The variable. Okay, let's say if I mention like in 1.0. So this is a floating value, right? And this is the one is like an integer value. So it will exactly check it out like in exact data types also should satisfy. Exactly same should come up. If it is like in 1.0 over here too, then it will be true. Okay, so that's how about like in the difference. So this also they might ask you in interview sometimes. What's the difference between like a double equal to and 3 equal to while we are writing script? Just give the values just like if it is like in double equal to, it will compare just with the value. If it is like in triple equal to, it will compare exact value with the data type as well strictly. Okay, so that's how if you want to assign some values, you will use this one. And then if I go with like in switch, so switch we already know about it, right? So we will give the condition in switch condition. Let me, there is a condition for switch. Let's say example, a is equal to 10. Okay, and you can add on like in case one. Case one, you can add with like in one more condition here, and if it is like a not working, if the condition is like a not satisfied, just go with the break, is nothing but it will come out of the block of the case one block and it will go with the case two. Okay, and if this also it's like not gonna satisfy, then it will, the break will work and it will come up. If the it is gonna satisfy with like in case three, then it will work here. Okay, so that's how the switch condition will work actually. So that's how about like in the JavaScript brush up kind of thing over here. It's running out of the time actually. So let me know if you have any queries on this. Any queries so far? And tomorrow I'm going to explain about like a ServiceNow scripting, and I will explain the Glide APIs. Okay. So I'm going to share you like in the document folder as well for your people, so that which you can get an access for a lot of documents over there. I'll explain you that as well, where to start and how to start. We'll discuss that tomorrow. Okay, so this is the one which I just need to share you. I'll do that so tomorrow. All good? Any questions so far?
No, Priyanka.
Okay, good then. So hope you are clear with all these things. So tomorrow we'll start like an actual ServiceNow scripting. Okay, so just make sure about like in all these things. And one more thing, I'm not gonna upload the videos or anything for like in the next of a concepts actually. If in case unfortunately if something happened, if I'm not able to join the class, I'll take a class, live class only, because it is a scripting thing, so you just need to understand for sure. If it is like in video, that might be like, and something might miss, you might watch the video, sometimes you might not get a time. So I just need to make sure you just need to understand the scripting concept for sure. As of now, admin part, whatever it might be, if it is like in video also, you will get for sure. That will be like an administration part is something easy to understand as well for sure, so it will be okay. But for the scripting part, I'm gonna take care of like an each and every concept, and it will be a live only for sure, all the things. Not only for this, it will be for like an integrations as well. And for integrations, I'm going to upload real-time project scenarios over there. I do have like an access for that specific project, before few months actually, so I have recorded it. Now I don't have access now right now, so what I'll do, for only for the project explanation thing, I will upload the video, and rest of the thing, whatever the concepts and everything, which I will take care of by in a live only. Okay, so if I have like have access for that, I can showcase, by now only. But the project is like an not there right now with our organization. The project name is like a Lenovo, which we worked on. So that's how about like in there only, which I work with integrations, with a lot of integrations, 4 integrations I guess I work there. Okay, so now I'm working with like a different module. So with the current project, so I cannot showcase with the integrations. That's why those was like a recorded, and you can check it up. If you have any queries, even a single point as well with a simple question too, no need to hesitate. You can ping me or call me, so that which I can clear your queries. Okay, so if all good, we'll wind up for today. Shall we?